Neither do I, so.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming tonight. I'm sorry we cut the meeting short, but I think it's important for us to meet our two candidates for mayor, and it's equally important for them to hear from us. So this is an opportunity for us to hear from the two candidates, and it's also an opportunity for us to speak with them, and for you gentlemen to see that we have a lot of people who are involved and interested, and we can bring our voice to the town government when it needs to be heard. We introduced the two candidates. Most of you probably know Rob Greenbaum. He's been a councilman since 2001. He is the Republican candidate. He's an attorney in the area. He served on most of the committees in town, including the safety committee, and he has also coached
Travel soccer
and
recreational basketball.
right. I got confused at the end there, but Democratic candidate is Gary Mahabir. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Gary Mahabir. Gary has been a town resident for about 10 years. He served on the Economic Development Committee. He's a resident of Bud Lake. He's married, has one daughter in high school and another daughter attending county college. And right now he's trying to start his own business and doing the same thing myself. I wish you good luck with that. So we had a coin toss before, and the coin toss came out that Gary's going to speak to you first. So what we're going to do is he's going to speak for 5-10 minutes, and then Rob will speak for 5-10 minutes, and then they can address each other and we can ask them questions. You're on.
Thank you very much. My name is Gary Mahabir. I live in Bud Lake, Eagle Rock Village, and I'm the Democratic candidate for mayor. My reason for stepping into politics is because I saw the need for us to do something based on what the economy is going, country's going, that we needed local involvement to really turn things around. So this is my reason for stepping into politics. I would like to congratulate you for your involvement, for being a volunteer for EMS and fire department. I mean, it's a great commitment I know on you. Do any sort of volunteer type of work, especially where we see things happen, natural disasters and man-made disasters. I would like to see us better organize ourselves, get more people involved, more people trained in able to rescue and involved in things that you are doing. Basically, that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Most of you know who I am. I've been involved in Mount Olive since I moved here in 1997. Been on the town council for 10 years. We're facing many difficulties at the municipal level in terms of maintaining the level of services that we have. We have obviously declining residential tax base. We have a declining commercial tax base, and we have caps that have been put on us by the state government in terms of what we can raise and what we can spend. Over the 10 years that I've been on the town council, we've cut departmental spending every year. We have less employees today than we did 10 years ago. We've cut to the bone. There's nothing left to cut, yet our expenses keep going up and up and up, just like I'm sure all of your expenses and my expenses go up on a personal level. So we're now at a stage where we have to be extremely creative in terms of the way that we're going to maintain what we have. And that's really what municipal government over the next few years is going to entail, is how do we create revenue so that we can buy the fire equipment for the fire department, so that we can maintain our emergency rescue squads, and so that we can maintain our facilities. What I've been working on diligently at this point as a councilman, hopefully moving into the mayor's seat, are revenues to bring into the township. My concept, which I've laid out on my website, and I invite you all to go to greenboundformayor.com, sets forth in detail exactly what my plan is. I thought it would be unique for a politician to actually set forth what he intends to do as he moves forward. That plan sets forth in detail my plan. It's not just a political statement. I'm a resident of the town, just like every one of you are residents of the town. It's important to me as it's important to you what happens in Mount Olive in the future. What I'd like to see happen, what I'm working on, is development of the ITC. We're looking at currently a project. If it moves forward, and I hope that it does move forward, that will bring millions of dollars in tax revenue into the town. That money can be used to stabilize our tax increases and to maintain our infrastructure, which includes the equipment for the fire department. It includes making sure that our parks are mowed and that the fences that get ripped up are replaced, and that we can move forward on smaller projects that will benefit everybody in the town. At the same time, we also need to watch what we spend, which we've been doing all along. And every dollar has to be viewed in terms of how spending that dollar will impact other decisions that we have to make on the municipal level. Because if we spend $10 here, it gives us $10 less on the other side, not dissimilar to everybody's personal budgets in terms of what you have to go through at home. So I think that I bring a balance of both someone who's going to go out there and actually generate revenue for the township, and at the same time be cognizant of the needs of the community and the fact that we can't tax ourselves out of living in Mount Olive, because we're close to that point for a lot of people. We need to watch what we spend. And if I sat here and told you that I was going to get everybody's taxes to be lowered during my term, that would be a lie. Because the reality is, based upon where we are, there are going to continue to be tax increases. What we need to do is keep them to a minimum and spend our money wisely. Thank you.
We have questions. Either you want to respond to anything the other one said?
I'd like to hear.
I do have a question for Mr. Greenberg.
Yes.
To talk about tax revenue, what did you plan? Who would you like to bring into town to make money for the taxpayers?
Right now, I'm working on a proposal. I can't really go into depth on the proposal. You have to understand that 80% of the municipality is in the highlands and cannot be built out further. It's absolutely necessary that we start to increase the commercial rateable base that we currently have in town. In other words, the shopping centers which are empty. And the way that I picture this happening is that I'm going to move to put something in the trade zone which is going to bring traffic into town. It's going to bring shoppers into town. It's going to bring people into town to build the BASF building. It's going to bring people into town to fill the hotels. We get revenue out of the hotels. We get a rateable out of whatever goes into the trade zone, and we increase the commercial property base by increasing the traffic to the stores. If we have a draw to Mount Olive, and there are a couple of concepts that I actually have in terms of draw to Mount Olive, but if we can establish a draw to Mount Olive, it will benefit us all through the commercial rateable base going up, which means that the residential property base picks up less of the share. Because it's like a pizza. Commercial's picking up 70% of the base, then the residential's only picking up 30%. I've always talked about taking Bud Lake and declaring it as a redevelopment zone. I'd love to see people, rather than passing through Bud Lake on Route 46, I'd like to see them going to Bud Lake on Route 46. Wouldn't it be great to be able to sit outside at a restaurant on the lake? I don't think it's that difficult a concept. What we need to do is to get the government involved, to actually take some action, to have it deemed a redevelopment zone, which would foster outside dollars to come in to build the facilities, the restaurants, and ultimately that would benefit us. Trade zone, looking at a sports complex right now. It's a major sports complex. If it happens, you're talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40 fields, an arena, ice hockey rinks, full-size track, full-size swimming pool. The BASF building would be incorporated into it, and ultimately we would be the high school athletic training facility for the northern New Jersey, perhaps the entire metropolitan area. We draw. I was told yesterday when I met with the developer that they're figuring it would draw from 6 states. So that's really the plan as I see it right now. Redevelop what we have, fix the shopping centers that we have by bringing in new tenants, by making it an attractive place that commercial establishments will want to be, and bring in that rateable that's going to fill up the BASF building and is also going to create the traffic that's going to drive the rest of the commercial development.
Thank you. Another question? This is for Mr. Mojave.
Yes, sir.
You as a mayor, you are elected. Are you willing to look in the tax reassessment in our properties? Right now, our properties value decreased, as you know, the market crashed, and we're paying taxes really high, and our property value is really low. Are you willing, or you have a plan to reassess taxes for properties?
Definitely. But like Rob, I myself also share some ideas about revitalizing the trade zone, because that's what we have to work with. I recently communicated with the governor's office on getting that train station built within the trade zone so that we could have the connectivity between New York City and the trade zone. So I gave them the reasons why we needed that connection, so that business people from New York can be convenient for them to come back into the monolith. The monolith seems so far for most people who want to do business in New Jersey. And revitalizing the trade zone will take that pressure off your property taxes, because basically we're kind of locked in. We have, based on our system that we have, that we pay for public education, it's about 67% that our taxes goes to public education. So until we can change that, we have to work locally in revitalizing, use what we have, like Rob again, I have ideas about Bud Lake, but I don't think one restaurant will work there. I'm more thinking on the line of multi-food courts of a restaurant, so that you would create more traffic in there than just one particular restaurant. So the lake is something that we have to work with. We have to look at what we have to drive our local economy, but also we need to connect with the people that live here. Find out what your ideas are. Include the people that live here on whatever business idea they have to drive the local economy, not just looking for somebody outside. I'm sure that a lot of you here have ideas and things that you would like to do. We need to create a system here that will give you that support for your business idea, whether it's once a month. I'm not impressed with our Economic Development Committee team. That I don't think they're doing enough, and I'm sure that whether it's me or Rob, certain things has to be done in order to connect with the people here and to mobilize ourselves to drive our local economy, to create opportunity locally here.
Thank you.
I'd like to respond to that question. Part of the problem is that we're in a fluctuating market where it keeps going down, down, down. The town several years ago did a townwide reevaluation. The process cost better than $500,000 to do a reevaluation by the time you bring in the company, the appraisers, and the like. After we did the reevaluation, property values tanked. We didn't just sit back and do nothing. What we did is we hired a company and did what's a lesser than the reevaluation, which is called the reassessment. In the last 2 years, we've actually done reassessments where we tried to bring back the property values to 100% rather than some lesser number, which is unacceptable. So we've spent about $100,000 per year over the last 2 years to reassess property values. One of the reasons that we've done that is if we don't reassess, we see massive tax appeals. When we see tax appeals, it cripples our government. We end up paying back 100% of the dollars which have been wrongfully collected based upon the tax appeal. And we have to pay that back out of our budget. It cripples what we're able to do in terms of providing equipment to the firehouses, in terms of keeping our manpower, our municipal manpower.
In response to that, isn't it better to reassess everybody at a lower rate so you don't have a tax appeal? We're going to all wind up paying the same amount because we all have to pay the big pool, but it would be less tax appeal if everybody's got the proper assessment.
We do. That's why we reassessed. That's why we've reassessed the last couple of years. There's a town, Steve Ratner and I had looked at this issue a long time ago. There's a town in Somerset County, Bernards Township is the town. They actually hired people on the municipal tax dole. They do a rolling reassessment. So in essence, that's what Mount Olive has been doing, except not as through municipal employees, but rather we've looked at it on a year-to-year basis to see how out of whack we are in terms of the value that we assess and what the value is actually. And you're quite right that even though you may lower the property value, so you go from a house which is 300,000 and you reduce it to 260,000, and that's done townwide, the same amount of money has to be collected in order to fund all of the things that we ultimately are responsible for, including our school system. So let's assume that we spend $10 a year on all of the services that we provide. If I lower your number and everyone else's number gets lowered by the same percentage, it doesn't ultimately change what you're paying in taxes because the rate goes up, your assessed value goes down, you're still going to end up with $10 at the end of the day. Now, the beautiful thing about it is when the residential numbers go down and the commercial values either stay the same or go up, you then reduce the residential tax burden because a greater percentage is then going to be picked up by the commercial. That's the key to reassessment and reevaluation, is to try and maximize your commercial property value and at the same time minimize, for purposes of paying taxes, your residential. Because the percentage, as much of the percentage that can be shifted to the commercial, that's the prime interest in terms of reevaluation. Now, having said that, I'm not one who's in favor of simply gouging commercial establishments. We have to make it attractive for them to be in Mount Olive. They're not going to complain about their taxes going up if their property values are going up, if their business increases. Because that's where they want to be. They want to be in a location where they're making money not only on their investment on their properties, but also their investment in their businesses. Go ahead.
Quick question for President Bolton. What is your feeling on the Mount Olive EMS? If possible, keeping the EMS the same as it is as we speak today, or today?
Yeah, it's for both of us. If you want to answer the question, Jim. You want me to go first? All right. The question was keeping EMS the same.
The way it's possible is right now for the Mount Olive EMS.
You're talking about leaving it with Hackettstown doing 5 to 5 and the squad's not going to a private system and just leaving it funded by the municipality during the hours. Look, here's the bottom line and where I differ from Scapicchio. There's nothing that I value more than the volunteer base in the town. And there's not a dollar better spent than on the people who, basically live the life of a volunteer. The amount of time that you people dedicate to the township is far greater than the amount of time that I dedicate, albeit in a different way. When it was first raised as an issue, it was raised as a safety concern. And the safety concern, which really is an interesting thing because it took forever for us to get the squads to recognize that there was a lapse during certain hours, that there just weren't enough volunteers during the daytime to effectively cover the town. So the change to the daytime EMS squads, I believe, was necessary. I never thought that it was necessary to go the other route, which was to replace the volunteers altogether. And I certainly participated in meetings behind the scenes with Bud Lake Rescue to talk about, what we thought we could do. Now, if there is a way to save township dollars, which is what I discussed before, if I have to spend $10 to fund EMS, and EMS can raise the money on their own and not have to take it from the township, we all win. We all win that way because that frees up money to do other things in town. I don't know what the ultimate status is in terms of the effort to go to privatize. I think my initial impression was that it was a huge undertaking, and I was somewhat skeptical that it was ultimately going to happen. And my thought process is now, I would love to see it happen, but if it doesn't, I'm prepared to fund EMS going forward in the same way that we fund them today.
My thoughts on this is that in appreciation for your commitment, I would do everything to help you not only keep what you have, but to help you raise money, even if we can't get it in town. Whatever fundraiser was necessary. I think it would be necessary for our mayor to demonstrate his interest in getting involved with you. But what we need from your end is that for you to build your team, to reach out to the young people in the community and let them know how important it is for them to participate in what you're doing. And if we can grow what you're doing here with the membership, we would have more people involved, and that would create our ability to be more, capable of responding and the need for the paid system. And I understand the paid system was brought in to supplement, but not totally take over what you were doing. I would like to hear from you what's your thoughts on how the present structure is and what you think we should do to move forward with, basically.
Let's give you some background. We try and generate members. The problem is we don't have, people have to work extra jobs and no one really has the time to invest. You're looking at it, I mean, our groups are bigger than us, obviously, you know that.
Right.
But to generate, people now really don't have the time or don't want to volunteer. We've had the membership drives and all that. We're not getting in return on the membership drive. People in town either don't have time, don't have, they're working 2 jobs, they're working, families are, both spouses are working, and so someone's got to be home with the kids. So to generate extra membership, I don't know how feasible that's going to be. So we've been trying to do that all along in the history of volunteer service. And it's not just Mount Olive, it's everywhere. I was involved in 4 different departments as I moved around, and it's the same problem everywhere. You don't have to generate, people don't generate to come out to volunteer anymore. The time investment, even if the training investment is, we have to meet the same requirements the pay department does. So a lot of people don't have that time to volunteer. They go through 120 hours, being 320 hours to become a firefighter, and then all the other training that we have to do weekly. So it's that was our problem in the beginning. And membership, we're doing everything we can to sustain what we have. And I don't know if I can support everything. It's just I like the way it is now, but we need the supplement for the paid EMS and that because we don't have the manpower. So there's no.
So that's the kind of feedback we need to know if you're happy with it, or
that's just my personal opinion. I like.
Right.
I can't speak for everyone.
I do have a bit of input about for the past 18 months, we implement changes in the rescue squad, as you know. We set up crews to respond during the night when EMS paid service is not in town. And I think we're doing very good. The way that we're doing so far, we cut our response time, we implement our first responder program, and we recruit new members. And the people that we have as members now, we try to keep them training and active as possible. So I do have.
Real quick, I want to clarify because it may sound like we don't have the membership to cover what we'll cover. I did say that during the day we don't have, because the people are working, that we need to supplement the time of the day. I'm not saying we need.
That's not the way I understood it. The way I understood it was that you don't have any people and nothing's getting done. We did a pretty good job.
Rob, I'll have my wife call you, let her know how many times I run out of the house. See, you get this thing.
I know, I was out there. I know what you guys did in terms of the pump outs and the rescues, and kudos to all of you for the job that you did. Yeah.
And Rob and I, we've met plenty of times last year. As for the exercise that we're going through, one thing we have done is come together as a Mount EMS. Flanders and Bud Lake work very close together. We get our rigs out 99% of the time when we're without second tones. We have established duty crews, weekends, nights, we've eliminated scramble time. That eliminated anything in terms of, well, you're not getting your bus now. Well, yeah, we are. As for establishing the Mount Olive EMS business to do the billing and hire our own EMTs, the volume is really down. Because of, as you know, most of our volume is business in store today.
I'm happy that volume is down.
Because we don't have businesses anymore.
Well, I'm just happy that volume is down. That means that you're transporting less people to the hospital.
And based on the requirements, because, and understandably so, we're a little different than other municipalities that are not paid. We do need 2 buses on, because we cover such a wide square mileage of this whole township. Giving that said, with a high-level business case, looking at some assumptions, we still need to scrutinize it a little bit more. We're going to be in the red because of the 2 buses and because of the volume down. So the question is what we're trying to figure out is how to get out of that red and look at some more, scrutinize it a little bit more. Go ahead.
There's a difference in my mind between being in the red and being totally funded. So let's assume that we were able to create a business model where you were able to create the business and take less from the
That's
township.
where I was going.
Right. Much better situation. And as I said, from my perspective, even if you came to the conclusion that it didn't work, the business model, it's not something that I would hold you to. I would fully fund EMS and not make an issue out of, in the scheme of things, what we provide for EMS and for fire is minuscule. It costs nothing to the taxpayer, or in overall dollars. I mean, it's pennies.
Right.
And the service that we provide is, it can't be measured monetarily when you need the service. So unlike my predecessor who wanted to make it an issue, it's not my issue, never has
I was
been.
saying, we could probably come up with a halfway compromise here.
But at halfway
And come up with the
yes.
subsidizing and,
You know what, any way that you could help reduce what the township ultimately provides to the rescue squads is a better solution than what we have and where we're going.
thank you.
What we're worried about is if we go to a paid system, it's definitely gonna cut into our donations. Then we're gonna have to come back to the town and say, yeah, we can't afford to keep going, and now we need money to support the association.
Not
So,
just the associations, it's cutting into the people wanting to volunteer.
Yeah.
right.
You know what, I understand, I've heard all of the arguments, both pro and con. And it's not just on this issue, it's any time that there's a controversial issue, there's always pros and cons. It makes it very difficult to sit up there and make decisions because you're always affecting one group or another or alienating one group or another. I think the bottom line is that all of the factors have to be considered. We all have to sit down when the EMS comes back and says, this is what we have, this is what we think we can run at, this is what we're going to need from the town. But these are the problems that are going to ultimately occur outside of the monetary contribution that it's going to cost to run the EMS as a business. We're going to lose membership, we're going to lose donations, and ultimately, when you factor in all of the different problems, it doesn't work for Mount Olive. That's what we need to sit down, but at this point, we don't have all of the factors that we can all sit down and say, you know what, it's not going to work, because let's assume that EMS comes back and says, we can run it with a 20% contribution over what we were getting, 20% of the 100% that we were getting. Then we can weigh out the other factors. Okay, we're going to lose contributions, so maybe we need to add in some additional dollars into what the township is providing to make up for the contribution. I don't know how we value the loss in membership, but I'm not convinced that that would occur. You obviously have more involvement in the industry, so to speak, and I don't know how it's been dealt with by other towns, and that's something that I want to take a look at. But as I said in the beginning, with everything, we're going to need to be extremely creative in terms of how we stretch the tax dollars that we collect. Everything, EMS, our road department, our sanitation department, how we provide water and sewer. We're going to need to be creative, because if we're not creative, we're going to lose employees, we're going to lose services, and we're all going to suffer.
My personal opinion is
Yeah.
that there's no reason why this township-wide EMS could not take baby steps. Leave Hackettstown on during the day, start billing at night. I think the big problem that the committee is coming up with right now is they were under the assumption that if they started this, that we would be able to utilize the existing equipment. Whereas the previous administration was saying, no, we own that equipment, you have to pay for it. So
Kevin, I don't believe that to be true for a second. I don't know where that came from, but certainly was never anything that I heard. You know what? Although the township owns the equipment, we are the township. Everyone sitting in this room is the township. And nobody is looking to run anything as a business. What we're looking to do is run it so that we can pay for it.
right.
I can tell you that I like the concept of taking baby steps. I like the concept of keeping Hackettstown on during the day until we get the flow appropriate in terms of manpower. You know, I've heard rumors that Hackettstown is not terribly happy with the amount of calls that they're getting. I don't know whether or not that's true.
Right now, I just talked to you, they're averaging a volume of 50 calls per month. That's not a definitive number that he gave me, just an average. They are right now about $60,000 into collections of our residents. But being in the EMS realm, it takes minimal of 2 buses or 2 calls a day to cover the overhead of 1 bus. They're not meeting that.
Which causes us a huge problem because we don't have the ability to cover, as far as I know, we don't have the ability to cover daytime coverage without a paid service right now. Did you have something?
Well, from what I understand, they're going to raise, right now they charge $650 per ride, minimum. That's just a load fee. From my understanding, they're going to raise that to $1,000.
I have heard that. I heard that through rumor. I haven't been provided any information from the administration. Did you have something?
Yeah, I had a question. You guys both talked about bringing more rateable, more traffic into Mount Olive. As you know, being a resident of town, we get some pretty horrific accidents that tax our capabilities, both on 206 and 46, just with the volume of traffic we have now. How are you guys going to address that as far as the ability to possibly maybe mitigate that or provide assistance to handle those volumes, obviously the increasing accidents?
Jay, you want to go first or want me to go first? It's hard for me to answer that question because I don't ultimately know what impact the additional traffic will have in terms of the services that are provided by both EMS and fire and rescue, to the extent that they're different. And I think that we're going to have to continually reevaluate the services that we provide in the departments. So that to the extent that we are overtaxed in terms of the equipment, I mean, there's really very little that I can do in terms of providing additional benefits.
Right, the members are obviously our responsibilities, right. We're actively working.
You know what? There is nothing that the township provides that is more important than safety, whether it be EMS, fire, police. That is our primary mission as a municipality. So it will be reevaluated. The resources which are required will be given to the appropriate entities. Having said that, it's my opinion that the township, the municipal government anyway, because as I said, we are the township. I think the municipal government has been, for the most part, extremely providing to the needs of the fire departments going forward in terms of equipment. You know what? I don't know that we've ever said, no, you can't buy a new fire truck. Or, you know what, you've come to us and told us we need 10 new Scott packs, and we haven't provided that. Or you told me that we needed a new radio system, and we haven't provided it. One of the problems sitting up there that we have is that we have to rely upon all of you who are in the business to tell us what the needs are of the departments. Because, you know, what do I know? I wake up in the morning, I get in my car, I drive to Hackettstown, I come home, and you people have been out on 6 calls during that time. You know, one extrication from an accident at the intersection of Route 206 and Antrim Hill. You've been to one heart attack over in Oakwood Village, whatever the case may be. I need to rely upon what you tell me in terms of your needs. However, having said that, it costs a hell of a lot of money to purchase a new fire truck. I mean, you're talking someplace between $500,000 and $1 million, depending upon the nature of the truck that you purchase and the equipment which you want to have on the truck. You know, I think our equipment's pretty good right now, but I know that, you know, down the road, we're going to hear again from the EMS that they need new buses, and we're going to hear from Flanders that they need a new truck, and, you know, we're hearing from Bud Light that they need a new ladder truck right now. So I guess the answer to that question is it's got to be a continual reevaluation in terms of where we're going with the equipment. But as I've said, we've always provided equipment. Always. I can't see that stopping now.
I must agree with Rob there. The feedback is an important factor in any decision making. So don't hesitate to communicate, whether it's me or it's going to be Rob, on what the issues are, because that's how we will resolve it. And we would need to work together, the municipal government and the people, which is you, the EMS team, on how we can resolve these issues. And we have to prioritize what the needs are. I mean, we can't play around with emergency response, especially what I've seen happening with our natural disasters and our man-made disasters. Who knows who's going to do what? So we always have to be ahead of thinking ahead of basically to be ready and prepared. So funding, we would have to do everything possible, and according to Rob, is that they have done that. But what I would see needed to be done here is communication between EMS, the fire department, police department, and the municipal government to resolve the issue.
The question for you.
Yeah.
For you two guys. To recruit volunteers during the day, you know, there are a lot of moms and dads that stay home during the day because the kids cannot go full-time kindergarten. You as a mayor, both of you, do you have any plans to pursue that full-time, full-day kindergarten?
Well, education, you know, it's an interesting question because as a municipal elected official, you really have very little impact over what's provided by way of the school system. So I think what you're asking me is it something that I would campaign for to lobby the Board of Education to put in full-time kindergarten? And I can tell you that when I was a parent of kindergarten-age children, I didn't understand why Mount Olive didn't have full-time kindergarten. And I looked at the issue and I was told that the difference between full-time kindergarten and part-time kindergarten, half-day kindergarten, is the amount of rest time, basically, that you cram in the same amount of learning in the half-day that you would otherwise in a full day. So really what you're asking about is daycare, which is provided by the municipality through full-time kindergarten. Now, I assume that you could use that time more creatively, but the bottom line is, as Gary just leaned over to me and said, is if you start to increase expenses at the kindergarten level, you're decreasing programs elsewhere. So now, if you went to full-time kindergarten, you might have to get rid of the AP classes, or you might have to get rid of the music program, or you might have to get rid of some other program that other people in the community value as much as kindergarten. I don't think that full-time kindergarten is really the critical need, outweighs a lot of the things which would otherwise have to be eliminated to make that happen.
I want to say one thing that the town government did do, with cooperation of the Mount Olive Child Care and Learning Center, which the township helps wherever they can, is that they've provided a certain amount of seats as available for people who are volunteering during the day that have children. And there have been some that have made that available, where if they have the spots open, they will provide free daycare for a volunteer who is on call. If they have to be on call, that type of thing. So the township, working with, again, this is with cooperation, and they were smart enough to do this, is that they do have that agreement with them with no cost to the township, and really for putting an extra seat in a classroom, as long as they have it at the daycare center, it really is an incremental cost. It's only the cost of the snack. So if somebody actually has the problem, talk to the Mount Olive Child Care and Learning Center, which is set up to provide it. The township leases them the old library building. So that's the support that the town gives them. I mean, they pay for it, but it was, a fair deal. And I would try that. And that's probably a heck of a lot more efficient than just try to provide everybody a full day kindergarten.
Thank you.
I'd like to take credit for that concept as well. Here with the township.
Then we got time for one or two more questions.
Just a comment, you were talking about getting young people involved. Our junior program runs pretty good. Right now we're down to 1 or 2 juniors. Luckily, because the other 3 juniors that we had all in college, so actually I had a pretty good junior ratio. It would be great to see a lot more younger kids coming out, but a lot of them go away to college and you never see them yet. So we get the kids from high school all the time coming down, so we do got that.
Anybody else have any questions, comments?
I have some.
You want to wrap up?
Just quick, how do we engage? You said you have a lot of people coming, so you have a lot of kids are coming to you who are interested in being volunteer, fire, let's say EMS people. Is that what you're saying? You have a lot of interested people.
We're both here. So when they walk into our door, we give them a fire coat and we give them a floorboard pathogen kit. So they get to ride on the ambulance with us and they get to ride on the fire truck. So we get them both. So they're learning first aid, they're learning fire tech.
So what can be done to fully mobilize this this effort to get more volunteers with you? Do you go to the high school? Is that what you're saying? You go to the high school?
I know they do their professional times once or twice or whatever it is, every couple of times to send somebody up. And most of it is word of mouth. So we get a junior on because they want to play, they want to learn, and they want to help. And they'll go to one of their friends and say, how come we haven't seen you in a while? Because I'm in the fire department all the time. And then we get word of mouth. And that's how we get a lot of the quote-unquote better kids. We also get the other side. We also get the kids that just want to put our name on their resume. We're going to college. So we have to do a little bit of fun, figure out which way is the better way, but we take them all on.
But I would like to change that in the sense of I've done sales, and if you want to grow your business, you have to kind of engage people. In the sense that I would like to see a representative from whether it's Flanders or Bud Lake soliciting the recruits instead of waiting for them to come to you.
That's one of the things we do at our open house as well. We do our open house, we have our smoke trailers, so we go out and we do education and we talk to kids, try to get them to come on board, we talk to parents as well, because that's sometimes even more important, because once you get a parent, sometimes you get the kids with them. There's also the old rule that once you have a kid in your hand, the parents, you already own that because you have their kid. So they have a little vested interest in the fact that their kids are here. So we do go out after the kids, we go out after the adults.
One thing I'd like to add to that is we also have to be careful, especially on the EMS side, of the amount of membership we have come in. Because one thing, and we're running into this right now, we have 6 people on a bus at nighttime, okay? Now you have 6 people on a bus, paramedics, if it's a very serious call, the patient is a conflict. Okay, you also have to provide them with radio. They're $500 a month. So you can't really throw it out there saying, come play with us. You've got to be careful in terms of closing down membership or minimizing what you're bringing in on membership because of those circumstances. Yes, we got to pull that.
Any closing remarks?
Sure. You know what I learned? I learned early on in my service to Mount Olive that
all of you do what you do better than I could ever tell you how to do your business. And the last thing that I want to do is ever get involved in the business of EMS or fire, or the library, or the health department, or any other department. It's when there's an identified issue that the township has to get involved, and it's always, always, always ugly. It's ugly. When we took on the library issues, there were changes which we felt needed to be made at the library, and it got ugly. We took a beating. It was in the newspapers. When Dave took on EMS, right or wrong, in terms of privatizing it, it got ugly, because it pits members of the community against each other. I don't see the issue of EMS being anybody's business but your business until the issue is identified that we're not able to provide the level of service which is required throughout the township. Then it becomes my business.
You safety issue?
Yes, a safety issue.
We're not there.
I understand. I never saw it as a safety issue. To me, it was always, you and I had that discussion, and I certainly expressed it publicly, that to me it was always a question of dollars. And ultimately, there was a tough decision to make. If we could provide the service without funding, the same level of service without funding that we could if we funded. And then how do we use the rest of the dollars? But you know what? As I said in the beginning, I always thought it was a huge undertaking for the EMS squads to get this business model up and running. I never thought it was actually going to happen. I still have questions about it, but I'd like to see it to continue to move forward. But ultimately, the business of running EMS in town is your business. It's not my business. Don't make it my business. I won't get involved in your business, except when we're talking about how we can fund the needs of the squads. I have no interest in taking on any volunteer in town, whether it's a soccer coach or someone who rides a bus to save someone's life. And just, you know what, let's all play together nicely, and let's work together to make Mount Olive a better place.
You don't want to make it back? We need it.
Anybody else got any more questions? Then I'm going to thank you both for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's important that we stay engaged and that we hold both of these gentlemen's feet to the fire throughout the campaign. Let them know what we think of what they're saying, and then keep on once one of them gets elected. I should tell both of you that we have a golf tournament coming up in October. Still have ample time for a big ad to reach people with your campaign statements. And thank you both so much for coming.